I asked for this meeting as a final condition for the divorce. My wife and her new partner, my former friend and the CFO of my company, agreed to it, probably just to get it over with. After all, I was a completely defeated and utterly ruined man, and they had nothing to fear from me. The fact that I found them together in our house and in our bedroom, and then the level of contempt with which she treated me, broke me. They knew they had won, while I had lost everything I held dear. According to the terms of the divorce, they both became the rightful owners of my former company from the day the judge finally approved the divorce. According to the law on no-fault divorce of the state in which we lived, Marilyn would get half of my 90% stake in the company, and John, her new partner, would get 10%. So in total, they would control 55% of the shares, which allowed them to make any changes and take action at your discretion. In exchange for some considerations, which I will mention later, I agreed to give Marilyn the remaining 45% that remained with me under the terms of the divorce. We agreed to meet at 2 p.m. at my lawyer's office, and to begin our meeting, we only waited for the news from the court that the judge had signed all the necessary documents. One of the few conditions I insisted on, in addition to retaining full ownership of several small, insignificant legal entities, was the inclusion of a clause on the final agreement in the documents. This clause stipulated that, as part of the divorce process, Marilyn waived all rights to make any changes or damages after she signed the final documents. I wanted to end all these disgusting cases as soon as possible, so that I would never see the courtroom again. Surprisingly, the conference room was filled to capacity. Marilyn and John were present, plus her lawyer, the corporation lawyer and his assistant, and on our side, my lawyer and his assistant, as well as myself. 8 people who had previously been friends and confidants now sat mostly in silence. The lawyers were talking quietly to each other, while the rest looked at each other almost blankly. All this went on for a good 10 minutes, until we were informed that everything was ready. My life's work, 24 years of bloody sweat and hard work, has just been stolen from me by my traitorous ex-wife and her new ally, whom I used to consider my friend. The corporate lawyer took the floor first, starting the official procedure for transferring ownership in all cases. I've known him for many years, and to say that he was disgusted by what those two did would be a big understatement. This worthy man wanted to give up representing the interests of the company, but I asked him to stay to help witness the fulfillment of the terms of the divorce and ensure that the interests of the remaining employees of the company are respected. Before he started talking, he pushed some documents towards me. Robert Williams, he began in a formal tone, coughing, "It is my sad duty to inform you that you are immediately relieved of your duties and positions as president and CEO of Wilcor Industries. You will be given access to your office, under supervision, in order to collect all your personal belongings at the agreed time." "Thank you, Peter," I said from my seat. "I know this is hard for you, because we've been friends and colleagues for a long time. I've already taken everything I need and cleaned up my office. We can discuss the terms of my severance pay later." Peter skimmed through my resignation papers. I don't see any severance pay offer here," he remarked with some surprise. "Really? Were they going to refuse me even that?" "Well, as I said, we can come back to this a little later." I joined the discussion. "As far as I understand, I was given only 1 hour for this performance, so I would like to make the most productive use of this time, although I doubt that I will fully need it. It's nice that they can give me at least an hour in exchange for 25 years of marriage, hard work, and loyalty," I emphasized sarcastically. "But first, Marilyn, I have just one question. Why? Wasn't I a decent husband, a good father, and a provider for the family? Has there ever been a time when you asked me for something and I didn't try to provide it for you?" For a moment, sitting across the table from her, she had the decency to look almost ashamed. "It's all about the money, Bob. It's just that," Marilyn shrugged. "You know, we had a very good sale offer. $43 million. John would have got $4 million, and we would have had almost 40. We could travel, leave this provincial town, move to France, or somewhere else. This place is like a swamp covered in duckweed, but you seem to enjoy moldering here," she snorted dismissively. "And what will happen to our employees if we sell the company? They played no less an important role in its success than we did. Even more than you, because you've never worked for a company," I reminded her. "Many of them have worked long hours helping to achieve the overall success that you plan to cash in on. Are you aware that the buyers are planning to close the plant? All they need is patents so that they can move production abroad. These are your friends and neighbors. Marilyn, the The people you see at social and school events. Our daughters went to school with their sons and daughters before they left for college. Yes, you know yourself that your customers really only need patents, and they will close the factory at the first opportunity. All these people, including many of our friends, will be left without a job on which the life of the local community depends. What do I care about these hillbillies? She snorted again. What good have they done for me at all? All they care about here is football, hunting, and their worthless, boring lives. I deserve much more than to be stuck here with them. Do you seriously think that I would like to spend the rest of my life selling church pastries and raising funds for the parent committee? A grimace appeared on Marilyn's face, as if she had tasted sour lemon. And your daughters? I objected. How do you think they will feel here when they see their friends and find out that their mother left their families without a job and a piece of bread? Don't worry, my daughters will be fine. She waved her hand casually. And why would they even come back to this place? They will be able to go out into the big world and not flush their lives down the toilet in this hole. I think you might find that you don't know them as well as you think you do, I said. But that's okay. Tell me better. Why did you have to stoop to such betrayal? Was it really necessary to treat me so meanly? Was that part of your grand plan? So that I can leave with nothing, even losing my self-esteem? For some reason, it seems to me that you don't love him the way you once loved me. I needed 10% of John's shares. Taking into account this money, as well as the 45% that I will receive in the divorce, we could force the sale of the plant, she explained matter-of-factly. And your proximity? It was just part of the agreement, Marilyn shrugged. Once we sealed our deal, there was no turning back. With your narrow-minded morals and outdated notions of loyalty, duty, and honor, I knew that seeing us together, you wouldn't be able to forgive. As for John, by investing all the profits back into the company, he did not receive any income from it, except for his salary, but now he will be able to cash out the millions earned from the sale. John wants to get out of this town as much as I do. Her partner, who was lounging in the next chair, nodded and grinned. But none of us expected, the ex-wife continued with a grimace, that you would pull off such a trick, exchanging your 45% of the company's shares for pensions and severance payments for all employees who may be fired due to the sale or forced closure of the company. So you made a deal in exchange for benefits. I stated the obvious. We're not going to discuss the names of people who do this right now. And it was all set up by both of you from the very beginning, since I caught you with him at our house. Yes, you're right. My, as you put it, narrow-minded morality refuses to accept this. And I would have filed for divorce myself if you hadn't gotten ahead of me with your application. Not that it mattered much. I'm just curious. Was it your idea or John's? Let's just say. She looked at John. It was a mutual and mutually beneficial decision that we came to after much discussion. John and I may not love each other, but we have common views and goals. I gave them time to reflect on what I had said and to review the documents. After a few minutes, Peter started laughing furtively. John sat up straight, opening and closing his mouth helplessly, and Marilyn's lawyers looked at each other worriedly. I don't understand. Can someone explain to me what's going on? Finally, Marilyn broke the silence, clearly annoyed by the appearance of some unexpected obstacle to her plans. Peter answered her, and I could have sworn there was a mischievous and mocking twinkle in his eyes when he spoke. As far as I can see from the documents presented here, WilCOR does not own any of the manufacturing patents. All of them belong to a separate company, which, in turn, is fully owned by your ex-husband and was left to him according to the divorce decree, he explained. Since Mr. Williams leased his patents to WilCOR for only $100 a month each, and some of them had been used in this way for more than 20 years, the corporate income of his Williams Trust Company was probably less than $100,000 per year. Peter turned his head and looked at me. Bob must have created this scheme when he founded the company, that is, even before I started representing his interests. I believe that my father, as a lawyer, organized this scheme for him to protect the ownership of patents in the event of bankruptcy of WilCOR. Confirming this version, I just nodded to him. As I said, Peter and I were not only colleagues, but also friends. But, I still don't understand. Marilyn, flustered, nervously slapped the papers with her palm so that they almost scattered all over the table. What difference does it make to us that Bob owns a desk with a ridiculous income of $100,000? In any case, no one planned to produce products for a long time. We were going to sell the company and close it. John finally came out of his stupor and attacked his partner in love. This is important, you stupid cow, because we don't have anything to sell. Everyone only wants to buy patents, and they still belong to Bob. You shot me an evil look. And all we have is a company with millions of debts and zero assets. We can't produce or sell a damn thing. We got into big loans to open this stupid deposit account, and now we can't even recoup the losses. At the end of the month, we will have to lay off all employees and pay them an annual salary. And even the money for this is frozen, and we can't touch it. That's a total asshole, he raged. Suddenly, some thought flashed across his distorted face, which, apparently, somewhat comforted him and forced him to continue speaking with almost Olympic calm. In general, in about a month, we will go down the drain. That is, we will go bankrupt. Well, at least I'll get my annual salary after this fiasco. But you, dear, I doubt you'll have anything left. Marilyn just sat there with her face turned over when the catastrophe of them finally dawned on her. No, even more than her own position. I left it to Peter to say the last, but no less interesting word. Actually, John, as a shareholder at the time of the company's creation, you are not entitled to severance pay to avoid conflicts of interest, he finished effectively. The epilogue. Over the next 6 months, I bought out all of Wilco's assets at auction and restarted production at the factory. I hired back all my employees who wanted to return to the company. Some of them, having received their annual salary, went on to other things, such as starting their own business or having children, while the rest enjoyed a 6-month paid vacation followed by 6 months of double pay. Marilyn and John lost everything as a result of bankruptcy, although my ex did realize her dream by running away from our city. When the story spread that she intended to destroy so many people's lives by depriving them and their families of their livelihoods, as well as the contemptuous attitude she showed towards her former friends and neighbors, Marilyn could no longer appear in society without the obligatory whispers around her person, and sometimes even faced outright hostility. To myself, yes, I did help her by allocating some money to rent an apartment, doing it more for the sake of my daughters than for her own sake, but I did not see or communicate with Marilyn anymore. All I've heard is that instead of boring charity sales and parent-teacher conferences, she's now having fun waiting tables at one of the eateries. Both of my daughters came to work for my company, admitting that they like life in a small town. Well, what about me? Well, I met a local lady who also seems to really enjoy a quiet life in a quiet provincial town. It will be interesting to find out what our mutual attraction will result in.